ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Late Night Dominion, episode 36. We're getting there. We will make it to 50 and beyond, I swear. So, glad y'all could join us again tonight. So, why don't you take it away for us, Mr. Beetle, sir? Take it away.
Yeah, thanks a bunch. Episode 36. Hey, what's up, everybody? Tonight's episode is sponsored by the letter 4 for juiced beverages that are 100% juice and good for you. Yeah, 36, we're getting there. We got a lot of good stuff tonight. We've got Blank Space, the Viking man hat guy, and then our producer in the background is always Aegon. And then you have myself, Beetle, all-around good guy is what I really am. Yeah, so Blank's going to give us the show synopsis here, then we're going to get into some good topics. A lot of good stuff this week.
All right, guys. As always, this is where you come for your Wildstar Weekly News. Might have missed it, didn't have time, busy at work, destroyed something in your house. We got you covered. We're going to talk a little bit about guild systems. What does that mean? Maybe a little discussion about social systems in MMORPGs. And, oh goodness gracious, we've got beta keys. Not us, the community. Right now, we don't have anybody in chat to pick up any sort of questions. So, if you have questions, throw them in, and I, myself, will pick them out and put them in this document to answer at the end. Please make sure to follow the channel, check us all out on Twitter, and like our Facebook page, just because that's what cool people do.
What an overachiever.
So, with that being said, we're going to get into Wildstar Wednesday. This is guild system in detail. If you haven't seen it, I'm actually going to drag and drop this link to you folks right here. So if you haven't seen it, you can go check it out. We're going to go over it right now. First of all, you're able to create a guild. You need, and you're able to get a guild vault. The guild vault has a full permission rule set, which includes withdrawing and repairing limits. Everybody likes to have a guild where you're able to set up those certain people that are able to repair their stuff, and you're able to have renameable tabs. Beetle?
Yeah, renameable tabs. How awesome is that? Like, it's such a small thing, but it's just that little thing that goes over the bit. You're just like, I love you guys. Like, so I can just have an entire tab just called shit. So everybody knows where to put the junk. Like,
yeah.
Well, they'll probably have a language filter for that, but something along those lines. Like, that is just, and I know I can speak for Blank on that point with his obsessive compulsiveness. Naming all those things for the guild vault will be very, very specific, and I know he loves that too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, the renameable tabs. I'm kind of like, I like to have things well displayed, so it'll be like crafting mats or this or that.
Right.
If you end up, I'm pretty sure the one you're looking at now is not. I'm pretty sure it's like BOEs and mats and that's it. But once the game comes out, it's nice to be able to be like, raiding crafting materials or low-level crafting materials or just junk, and then you're also able to put in who's able to withdraw, hopefully, from which one, Did you have something else you wanted to add there, Beetle?
Yeah, you actually touched on a good point. Do we know how many tabs you can rename, or how many tabs you can have?
You'd have to look in the in right now. Maybe we can get
because you made a good point with the levels. It's like, all right, say the guild gets 5 tabs, so then you could do the crafting mats 1 to 25, 26 to 50, and leave those 3 others, for great drops, position requirements, stuff like that. But that's a great idea to split up the crafting mats for those crafters on res.
Yeah, it's not just 1 or 2 you're able to unlock. I think, off of my memory here, because I'm not in it right now. I'm pretty sure it's 5.
It looks like 5 tabs right now. Yeah, it's like 5 tabs.
Influence.
Yeah, Aegon's saying 5 in chat now.
Yeah, they're big tabs though. Like once you have one, you're good to go for a little bit, and yeah, so you should be fine.
Yeah.
I love that we can hear your roommate, by the way.
Well, I mean, he's playing Dota, and he's just awful. But I'm sure he's feeding right now. Here, let me just close the door.
So while Vito closes his door, I will tell you a little bit about the customization. Hollow marks. Aegon should be showing you just his character. You're able to make a hollow mark. It's your guild emblem. There are 4,225 possible combinations from 65 inner and 65 outer elements at launch. These can be projected around you. Now, we've seen it where like there's a guild thing on top of your head. You get to watch, and I love this. I wish it was more customizable, but we've had that conversation about art and props and things like that. This floats to your sides or above your head or behind. Like
so
it's amazing. So, Beetle, what were you gonna say about the hollow marks? I know we all love them. So,
well, I mean, and this is just like renaming the tabs. It's just something that's so small that they've taken to another level, and it's just as easy as a two-sided texture that's just a decal leveling on the player. So, but the other thing about it is, for me, I just lost video for some reason. Anybody else, or am I still dumb? I got it. The biggest thing for me is, yes, there aren't that many possible combinations right now, but 65 to 65 is pretty good. You are going to see some mismatches, but then there's also the color scale of those, is there not? You can change the color of them?
I'm not sure you can change the color. I don't think it's that deeply customizable.
Okay.
But you are able to mess with like the icon, the background. There's all sorts of different things.
So, yeah, and the thing about that from a design standpoint in the game industry is there's generally the 65 to 65, that was somebody's side project. There isn't a guy at Carbine right now, I can say fairly confidently, that is just making those. It's most likely a texture artist or some other UI guy that is doing those on the side. So we could see more added, definitely, but it's not a high priority item. For it to be 65 and 65 already is pretty good if you think about Guild Wars 1, which was 24, but with a color slider. So, what can you do?
It's, we like to
it's so sexy,
give
though.
Credit. Yeah, dude, to give credit where it's due. This is one of those little things where, it's not something you run around and scream from the top that are going to bring people flying here, but it's one of those perks that's really nice. Absolutely. Go ahead, Aegon. Go ahead. That's fine. Right now, Aegon in-game is actually going to mess around with the different logos, the different hollow marks. So you guys are actually able to see this right now. So he's going to pick different ones. He's going to pick different ones. You can pick different borders. You can do all sorts of stuff. So he's going to show that while we talk about influence. This was something that at first I was like, oh man, here we go. The first three things you guys need to know. Influence is earned by guildmates playing together. Now, as a hardcore organization, sitting down and figuring out how to do that was really important. Here's the best part. You get it from doing everything together in a group. It wasn't like, you get guild influence from only doing an achievement, or you get guild influence only from PvPing together. It was literally like, you got two guys together, they're doing stuff, and they leveled up. Okay, that would trickle in a little influence. It was so cool because it wasn't like, oh god, you have to do specific things. Everything. The
term "everything" here is all-encompassing. It's pretty great. It actually means everything.
Right. More guild members in a group. We figured this out. Faster you earn influence. That's awesome. While it is, and I will say this, it constricts you because if you're a hardcore organization or you're somebody who's looking to get those perks as fast as possible, you're then figuring out who's online, who can do stuff together, and then pushing your members to play together. But is there anything really wrong with that? Because I don't think so. I think that's great that you get like-minded people playing together in the same areas. Hey, go farm us some influence while you're out there. And
Right.
down here at the bottom, just to reiterate, it counts for any activity. This is hugely important, and I want to make this point before I pass it to Beetle. It's not just achievements. It's not just raiding. It's not just PvP. It was everything that you do as a guild together, questing, dungeons. That is hugely significant. And it's definitely in line with what Carbine has been telling us they want to encourage in the social aspect. So, Beal, your thoughts?
Yeah, you kind of touched on the social aspect of it there. Like, I know when I was younger, I was a little, scared to come into a guild and group up with people. This is the kind of thing that if I already didn't know pretty much everybody in our guild, even though I am getting overwhelmed with all those new kids nowadays, who are all these people? I mean, this will be something when the game comes out. If I don't know people in my guild and I see a group warming up, I'm just like, hey, you guys need a tank. Hey, you guys need a DPS. We're helping the guild by gaining influence. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a benefit to yourself and the guild just to swallow your solo pride for a little bit and group the heck up. But, yeah, and we'll see how influence, what it's really going to buy everything. But the other thing you said is more members in a group equals more influence or faster influence.
Yep.
I'm kind of wondering, we'll probably have to min-max this at some point, but I know that Guild Wars 2 in a 5-man group maxed at 4 players with the influence in that group. So we always split into 4s instead of 5s. So there could be a max for that group at the rate you can gain influence, so you may want to split up groups. We'll see at some point here.
What if Aegon, he won't show it now, I'm sure he'll show it when we talk about the buffs and stuff, because it's in that area. You can actually see a daily cap amount that you can hit. So even if you're optimizing your groups as much as possible and you're doing all this stuff together, there's still a limit. So even if you're min-maxing, it's still going to be like, you know what? This is where you're at for today.
So there's a cap on the days earned?
I believe it is.
On the most you can earn in one day?
I believe it is a daily cap.
I think that's a pretty good idea.
If you're freaking out about this, as they put out, this is beta. These are not hard numbers. This doesn't mean that this is exactly how it will work when the game comes out. But the way that it works currently, right now, is that there is a day cap. So, anyways, Peter, you want to talk a little bit about the perks?
Well, I'm missing all these awesome holograms that Aegon's doing. Damn it. So, yeah, we're going to talk about the perks of being in a guild, things you can do, stuff like that, and that's for me. Guild unlocks. Guilds can unlock bank slots we know of right now. They can also unlock something that we're calling, I'm not sure what the technical term is going to be, but player summoning. As Aegon mentioned to me earlier, similar to Rift. So being able to, in a high leadership position, being able to summon guild members to your position on a high cooldown on a guild unlock feature, which is pretty neat to me. Guild-wide buffs as perks, 6 different types of buffs to unlock. You've got experience, you've got faction, you've got influence boosts, you've got, 6 different ones at this point. They can probably go even further than that. You've seen the people, I always go back to Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2 because I love the games, but you always see those people in Lion's Arch and Guild Wars 2 right now, they're just full of buffs, just because their guild's at that point where it's just like, buff, buff, buff. If you're not going out, we've got them, we've got them, we've got them. So, the good thing about these buff systems is they allow the big guilds to have a lot, but it still allows the little guilds, the 2-man to, 8-man, friends from work, friends from high school, to group up and get that influence and get a couple buffs going in, As long as you're grouped up with 2 or 3 people, you're getting influence. So it allows those smaller groups to actually feel like they're still contributing. Blank, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm expecting there to maybe be some more to this when the game actually launches, because there are a lot of tiers. I'm sure, because right now you're seeing it. There are a lot of tiers to these things, and some of them are even tied into guild achievements. So before you're able to rock a certain one, you have to unlock a social guild function achievement to be able to do so. Still talking about Carbine catering to the hardcore. You want to unlock this, this cool buff potion, your guild has to earn it. It's not just like, and from the ones that we've seen, it's not just like earn so much influence or like, run around. No, they're like very awesome achievements. So I don't know where those will end up staying or going, but I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and we've got a couple more things to talk about at perks. I'm going to go through some chat real quick here. Schaufens is not liking the dailies. He's thinking weekly caps on influence would be cool. Mark from Guild Umbra's all about that boob slider. A couple different things. Some people aren't really into the DKP. I could see DKP being converted to influence would be really cool. I mean, it knocks out the whole need for DKP separate from influence, you know what I mean? So you can track that itself. So you're not getting a million different types of currencies, but yeah. So here a couple other perks thing here is consumable guild items, instant banker. I'm assuming to your position or to whoever has summoned it, and a flask dispenser which stacks with guild buffs. So this is something consumable that's separate from these guild buffs that may buff something different. I'm assuming that these won't, so it'll stack with guild buffs, but I'm assuming Carbine's going to make these flasks majority be different buffs from the guild buffs, so they don't necessarily have to stack with them. Maybe flasks only give you a gold buff, flasks only give you a certain area influence buff. Are they calling that influence, or was that reputation type of buff?
Yeah.
So they can kind of split that, like the is that the circles, Venn diagrams? Oh yeah, Blake doesn't know what those are. Way back in like show number 6. So you can have a Venn diagram. You've got your consumables over here. You've got your regular guild buffs. And you maybe have like 2 or 3 in the middle that overlap, and then the rest of them are separate, something like that.
Yep.
But yeah, Blank, go ahead.
All right, that right there is our coverage into the guild systems. Went into detail a little bit. I'm going to talk about the other stuff that happened in the week that you need to know. We had the showdown in Carbinetown, Team Frost versus Team Pappy, and the official results: Team Frost winning 5-2. If you watched the stream, it was really, really apparent that developers don't get to play their own game often.
Yeah.
God bless Pappy.
Small thing there.
Pappy, really good up close. Definitely don't want to put Pappy on a spell slinger, that's for sure. Got to give Frost his props on his stalker. I'm pretty sure I could kick his ass, but other than that, I was pretty pumped to see him pull off the combos that he needed to maximize his damage. We loved being able to see the arena. We've seen it like before in a little tiny clip in a DevSpeak back in the day, and to see them actually in there running around and playing, I wasn't even looking. I was just like, "This is awesome!" Like, wow, watching them run around,
looking at the architecture.
And then we had Merkel. Shoutouts to Merkel, Gabe, and then even Bardic, our friendly, fun-loving Jen. It was nice to see her on the stream. I get to hear from her. We're looking for some more information about them war plots in the future.
Yeah, what up, Jen? What up, Jen?
It was good to see you, girl. I need to let you on there more often. Talk about them PvPs. But, yeah, it was a good time. I still will take any of the developers on. And my developer dream team, I think I put it on Twitter, was like Merkel, Gabe, Hugh, Frost, and
gotta get Kronos in there.
Oh yeah,
Kronos the dog.
I was like, who wants to be on my dream team? So, anyways, Beetle.
Yeah, I mean, apparently, in order to get Jen to talk to me again, I need to let her play TF2 against me and burn me as a pyro a little more often, because then she opens right up and talks all the time. But I think all we have to say, me and Blank and a couple of the other guys at SVG and SFG, it's like, Frost, pick on some of your own size. I mean, we're right
Yeah.
here.
Transmitting
I mean,
Dude, Jen took me on the stream, and she lost twice. Twice. I took Clinch on the stream. He lost.
I'm usually not a huge supporter of Pappy in his lore, but in this point, I mean, Frost is just picking on the man. When you go 5-2, but yeah, that's all I had to say about that. If he wants to catch me in some city streets like Aegon's boarding around in right now.
Well, that was our talking about the Team Pappy and Team Frost. It was a good time. We like those little things that they do for the community. It brings people together. Great. But Vito, can you tell us a little bit about these key giveaways? Maybe drop that public service announcement on us.
Yeah. So Wildstar community has received some beta key giveaways. They've dropped them on Wildstar Central. My boy Zap Robo over there. Big shout out to him. Wildstar fans, you've got R Wolf over there. The Core Network, I believe that's Sylvan, correct me if I'm wrong, over there. So you've got some big fan sites getting some key giveaways now. And I'm sure Ara and Sylvan are thinking about it. I know Zap streamed all today with his giveaways, so be sure to check out those. But Wildstar Central between January 27th and the 23rd and the 27th, they've got some random live stream giveaways. They've got a limerick contest, which I went to school for game design. I don't know what the hell a limerick is. I'm sure it's something having to do with writing in English and probably something like a haiku. Wildstar fans between the 27th and the 31st. I mean, I hope you guys are jotting these down, or you're gonna miss out. They're doing the Wild Quiz, which is a Wildstar quiz. Who wrote that in the Google Doc? Because it obviously is a Wildstar quiz. Oh, they're setting me up for failure. But that's the 27th to the 31st of January here. And then the Wildstar Core, the 31st to February 4th. So we've got these all lined up. So you're going one site to the next site to the next site. And then Wildstar Core has the Elden Code puzzle, which sounds way too tough. So get your keys in the first two, and then if you think you're smart, go to the third one. So anybody who thinks they're tight, go to the third one, because they got some crazy stuff. But so the public service announcement having to do with these keys here. One moment, please. The announcement here is that beta key scams will start and become rampant. So I'm like totally serious with this stuff. It's like these things will be everywhere. If you signed up somewhere, if you visited somewhere, be ready for them. If they're not confirmed by Carbine already, like the link we probably put in chat already, maybe, or if they're not trusted sources or social media, they are a scam. So social media from Wildstar Central, Wildstar fans, Wildstar Core, Twitter, Facebook, all that, your Instagrams, all that joint, those are probably fine. But like Wildstar free.ru.Brazil, probably not okay. So be careful. And there's going to be a ton of them because this is one of the biggest upcoming MMOs of this year. So there's going to be people trying to capitalize that on trying to compromise your computadora, as they would say. And then, blank space, go.
Just wanted to throw out there something significant that some people kind of didn't really pick up on. This, when you're a company and you look at how you give things away, these are beta keys. And they didn't give them to big companies out there, because there's a lot of companies out there would love to have this. This is what I love about the Wildstar community. They gave them to the people that are out there that are out there for the fun of it, who love the game. I mean, that's Mike. It's Arwolf. That's Zach Robar, and that's Sylvan. These guys are running websites where they could have potentially been like, hey, I could sell this to somebody and somebody else could do it and I could just be whatever. They've continued to run these websites for the community. And I think that watching Carbine support the community by being like the first people that are going to generate some buzz and hype for us are going to be community focused and centered is amazing. So I wanted to make sure I threw that out there. That really reinforces the fact that they're not just lip service. Hey, the first people that got keys to give away were the community. That's pretty badass to me. Go ahead. I know you have a couple more things to announce, Beetle.
I mean, I got a couple, but I agree with that. I mean, and there's plenty of great Wildstar fan sites out there. Don't get me wrong at all. But these three have done a lot of work, and as far as a fan of the game and the community, you got to be proud of these guys. So my next little spiel is everybody who knows the community is Alice. itsALICEduh handle did some mount videos, the Dominion mounts, which I did not see yet. I saw the Exile one. Blank's passing them in here. But if Alice isn't in the chat now, you can go ahead and tweet Alice and be like, hey, Beetle saw your video and it was okay. Because if he's not in the chat, we got problems. But, the mount videos are great. I saw the Exile one. Pretty subpar, I would assume, to the Dominion mounts.
Obviously.
You can only... that's just basic... chemistry is what that is, right? Science. And
science, right.
critical thinking. And they're probably better. I'm actually going to watch it right now as Blank talks about his next thing here.
Awesome. All right. So the next thing we got up here is TenTon Hammer talking about Wildstar less beta. There was a large patch that arrived on January 14th. Now, in their opinion, they said it feels like the game is polished. It plays wonderfully well. I totally agree with them. Now, they've got a whole new shine. This, they're basically letting us know that, in their opinion, from TenTon Hammer, if this game ended up, coming out, it'd be good to go. So if you haven't checked it out, I'm going to drop a link for you here in chat. It's kind of their discussion about the patch and, some things to think about as launch starts coming up. And then the next one is it's a balance discussion. So a little bit of it was about Pappy and Frost. And I don't want to bash it too much, but when you're talking about two different developers and stuff like their, the tiers, their amps, their skill levels and things like that, I don't think it's very strongly significant or indicative of balance. So I was kind of wary about that. However, still a good article to check out. Definitely read through it and then, kind of draw your own conclusions about, what do you think balances that? Because a lot of people were able to see PvP being done at level 50. If you've watched the streams, you've seen PvP at level 15 or 14. Mm-hmm. It's highly significant when you see PvP at where endgame is supposed to be. So there's a lot of discussion going on right now about, we saw this happen on this character that was played by this person. How skilled are they? And does that mean anything? So
right. I can't type in the Google Doc. I'd like to say something. Why can't I type?
Why don't you blink your eyes twice?
No, it's Alice's video freaking it out. It was. Way to go, Alice. Your YouTube video broke me. And that balance discussion I just wanted to mention on TenTon Hammer was a little bit based off of what they saw on Frost and Pappy, if I'm not mistaken, and Frost had a bit more burst than Pappy did in a couple of them, and I think Pappy's of his skills, so some people were like, oh, is it all going to be burst builds? Is it all going to be LeBlanc, busting over and just killing me in 2 seconds? So just to throw that out there. Why am I so broken? Here we go.
Poor Beetle.
All right, GG Google Docs. Yeah, so we're going to keep going with the stuff in the community here. We've got some Cassian lore history. I believe it was from Philetic. Correct me if I'm... Jesus.
Yes, you are correct.
All right, and me and Philetic are real tight. Best buds. And as far as lore lessons go, he's your guy. I consider him kind of similar. If anybody's watched Wooden Potatoes before, WP, he's pretty cool. Philetic does a great job with lore and all that stuff. Aegon is being bounced around by a hamster ball right now. We've also got another link coming in here. Wildstar From Above, introducing Dominion.
By a Carbinetown.
And this was from the Core Network, and this is Nick and... what's his name?
Jason.
Nick and Jason? Oh, freaking Jason on TS. He's been on our TS a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
T-Maker, yeah.
These guys are crazy.
Yeah, hilarious. I mean, and it's funny for us because, I mean, they're just like two dudes just having a great time, just being like, I honestly, when I think of them, I think they just go WTF to everything. What's this? What's that right there? What's this right there? What's that right there? You know, like, they're hilarious, and yeah, I really enjoyed that video. Hidden Arena had another great article, the Explorer overview and analysis, and they had Hidden Arena, if you guys remember last week, had done the Settler and the Soldier, I believe. And I had mentioned Hidden Arena, it was a site I have never been to before those two articles came out, but were actually really, really well done. And shout out to Hidden Arena.
I'm gonna throw this out there because I'm kind of picky. I like to go, and actually here, let me drop this for you guys here in chat. I like to go to a website that puts out news that is this detailed. There's the disclaimer, there were pictures, there was discussion. It was nice. I liked going to see somebody with a new website, or I don't know how long it's been around. I've never seen it, to view it, last week and then this week, and be like, check this out. This is an article. This is, my thoughts, some pictures, the discussion. Here's an analysis. Here's some. I was like, oh my God, this is refreshing and awesome. And man, there were lots and lots and lots of pictures. So
sure.
Big.
All right, hey, before you go on, Blank.
Yes.
Let's touch on something here from Starfire in chat. Sure. Some of the people interested in Wildstar are putting me off a bit. There's a lot of elitism. What would you have to say about elitism in here? And we're getting a little bit of echo. I'll mute my thing.
Okay. What I'd like to say about that, Starfire, is within the Wildstar community, if you're finding or you're seeing elitism, it may be from people that are kind of fanboying it up a little. There may be people like, I know myself, people get kind of mad at me because all I do is PvP and they want to see other functions, which I do, or other things about the game. But they've said it's kind of a breeding ground, but that's going to be part of the community. They want a game where hardcore matters, but within that realm, because if you have a hardcore group of people as a community who drive all sorts of content and who are trying to beat PvE and are fighting each other in PvP and they have great conflict, that happens. That happens organically. So along with everything from the scientist and the explorer, the people who like the platform who may want to play by themselves, that experience is still available in Wildstar. You're allowed to just walk around, check your own thing, farm some stuff, put it on the auction house, make potions, and role play at the tavern. There's even elite, and I say this because I didn't know about this until Wildstar. There are role-playing organizations that have longer applications than we do because they take it so serious. Which is absurd. To me, I'm just like, that's crazy. I can't believe that's a thing. But when you are fostering an environment where hardcore matters and there's so many different ways to play, whether it's your Bartle type, whether it's competitive hardcore, you play casually, you play with friends, you play for the social experience, you play with your girlfriend, you play with your family, wife, you're going to have all ends of the spectrum. I don't know if there are a lot of instances of very elite, braggy, shitty douchebag people, because I think as a community we've done a pretty good job of kind of self-policing and keeping that sort of stuff away. I definitely could say on behalf of anybody that I've done stuff with in the Wildstar community, if somebody comes in and they've got the mentality of a volatile League of Legends community, we're not interested. No, thank you. Feel free to do whatever you're doing over there. But when it comes to elitism, I haven't really seen too much other than friendly, playful banter between whether it's organizations or fan sites and stuff like that. So I hope that kind of clears some stuff up for you. Was that
I guess,
good enough answer?
Well, I guess I'll chime in just a little bit on it. Is the biggest thing with games is you will always find people who think they're elite or are elitist. There's certain communities that lend to it a little harder than others. Blank may come off with his gray horned hat as an elitist at sometimes, but when it comes down to it, a lot of the people, how do I phrase it? Like, you'll have that 12-man group that's elitist, but then you'll have the group that's hardcore and plays a lot, but is willing to help other people. It's really about finding the game you like and then finding the group you like. You don't need to play with the elitists in Wildstar. You can find a group that is elite in terms of they really put in their research and really want to play well, but will also put you in a channel or a group with people to make you a better player. It's just, every game has elitists. I mean, freaking Candy Crush has people that are probably like, yo, you should have moved that candy to the left. Noob. It's just how it is. That's just video games, and that's how everything happens. So you can't avoid it at this point.
Yeah.
Blanco.
It's a part of any community. It's funny because if I was going to consider myself an elitist, I consider myself a community elitist. I want to have a gaming community, and that's, Wildstar, that strives to be the best, that we're supportive. I don't do role play stuff, but if somebody came over to me and was like, hey, come check this out, come do this with us, and they're out doing really cool stuff for the community, I'm not too proud to be like, you know what, dude, that's awesome. Let me go hang out. Let's go do stuff like that. Being an elitist in certain ways isn't that bad, because sometimes you're like me and you're screaming in PvP and you're trying to kick butt and, you lose and you rage a little. But you also have people that are driving the community forward. So play the game how you want to play, find the people that you enjoy playing with, and there's so many different groups out there already. Just having been on the scene for under almost a year now, we've seen everything from the hardcore role-playing guilds, the casual role-playing guilds, guilds that have come from other games, world-ranked guilds, all sorts of and not only guilds, there's organizations. There are organizations that span games and games and games that are coming over to Wildstar, and they're loving it here. They're like, wow, we normally just play games like this, but this community is so cool. We're on forums and we're on social media and we're like talking to people, and normally we don't do that, and it's really cool. So with that, we'll end all that silliness, and we'll get to the last thing of the week here, which is tips and tricks to survive Wildstar active combat.
Dodge.
Get used to hitting F, dodge, and keep a mobility skill on your bar. There you go. The article talked about the engineer, explaining to people that there is no auto attack. A lot of people don't really understand that. So that was one of the things they made sure to highlight. Like, listen, the auto attack, you can set it up in the game so that your spammers or your builders happen naturally. So you just press the button instead of spamming it. But the telegraphs, having to deal with them, messing around with limited action sets. There's so many, skills, but within those in tiering and amps, it's this whole thing. So they put up an article. It was really cool. I would check it out, and I'm actually going to put this right here in chat. And with that, Beetle, could you go over some of the questions we got tonight?
Yeah, sure. So Nixus, little boy Canada, has been grabbing questions that you guys have been putting in chat and giving them to us so we can deal with them here. Guild Umbra is asking why nerf the breastises. That's a design choice. I honestly couldn't care less. Because I'm all about that Makari, and we just are robots and we don't care. Blank, anything? No? I'll just let you chime in when you want.
Well, when it comes to boobies, it wasn't like there was a huge crusade somewhere that was like, your titties are too big, Like, I think somebody internally, I'm sure probably in beta, there was a discussion about them, and they probably just looked at them and were like, you know what? We're going to adjust them. Not because there's some crazy pressure, because that's not how Carbide works. But they probably looked at them like, you know what? Those double E's are kind of big. We're going to cut them down a little bit. So, titties is titties, whatever. It doesn't bother me. When I first looked at the game, I didn't really even like the art style, but the gameplay is what drew me in. So, a whole cup size off of boobs isn't going to stop me from playing this game.
All right. One thing I'm going to do real quick here is that...
Well, that
was way too small. I'm an old man. Starfire Pixie asks, what do you think sets Wildstar apart from other current and upcoming MMORPGs? I would say the raid endgame content for me is what's really setting it apart. I like the sci-fi setting personally. I really like high fantasy when I read books, but it's really getting overplayed for me as far as games go. Blank, what do you think?
What sets it apart? The other night, I was supposed to make a highlight. I got to go try and track that down. I was a little drunk, and somebody came in that was new, and they asked what this answer was. The company is in tune and understands where other companies have failed. Jeremy Gaffney has over and over stated, we know what other people have messed up on. We're planning to circumvent that. They've said, we don't just have a game ready to launch. We have shit ready to come out. Content after content after content. Like, they're working on that now. They've been working on that. So not only do they've seen the other problems that other games have had, but they're working on them never being an issue. Not only with that, but they have this rich game that isn't filled with bullshit. You've played them, I've played them. You've played a game where they sold you on something, marketing just hook, line, sinker. You were like, dude, World vs. World is so sweet. And then once you got there and you did it for 2 weeks, you were like, what the hell do I do now? The difference is there's not just one little aspect. You have your PvE, your PvP, and then you've got people like Nixus who would sit around and just play in his housing plot all day. There's not just one center, like most games launch and it's like, check out our PvE. It's amazing. And this other crap too. They're like, we have this and this and this and this and this, and these are our big things, and under that we have cool stuff like guilds and social circles and everything else. So it's a different take on what we've seen normally. What's the next question?
The next question is from the next couple, actually. They're from Psycho Panda Bro. Great handle. What do you think of the dancing in the game? Dancing is dancing. I mean, yeah, it'll obviously be polished, and each class will have its own kind of thing. And the Carlton will maybe make an appearance like every other damn game nowadays. I want to do the Dougie. Or I want to do the Tootsie Roll. Or I'd like to...
Nice.
the drink in my two-step, which some of you were lucky enough to get that linked in your chat at the beginning of the show. Another question from Psycho Panda Bro. Is there an add account feature in guild creation to let you keep track of all your guildies? I believe it's going to be player-based, blank space?
Yes. It is per character. However, if you're looking to track down people, I mean, honestly, the guilds are able to be huge, and I don't think that's going to change. Like, I don't know what the number is, but it's ginormous. So adding an account probably isn't a thing. You just have them add it all in to your organization. So it's a good idea. It's definitely something to throw out at Carbine. But I guess that could be kind of an interesting way to do it if you just add an account to guild. But then what about those times when you're drunk and you're role-playing with one of the developers in a tavern, you don't want anyone to know where you are? See, that's my problem with that. Like if you know, somehow you're on a pink fluffy exile, you know, role playing, I don't want people to know that that's happening. So
mains versus alts kind of thing.
Absolutely.
All right. Another one from Psycho Panda Bro here. Can you change the logo after the creation of the guild? Yes, I believe Aegon was doing that.
Yep.
Blunderbutt. Those guild holograms, can they be moved or certain ones turned on or off? Yes, they can. I believe there's the one over the head, there's one on the back, and there's also the sides that you can turn on or off. Blank.
They can't be moved, but you pick which ones you want to keep on. And
so it's like a slot almost.
Yeah, it's a slot. You turn it off or on.
All right. Onres, hashtag question. Can you track how much influence you've contributed to the guild so it can be used as DKP? Nah, not at this point, but we did mention that would be kind of cool to alleviate the multiple currencies or things that people have to keep track of.
Would be kind of cool. Would kind of be a headache. You'd probably need an add-on for that because
it'd be something in logs.
Yeah, I would not want to have to track down the influence gained by each person. That would kind of be a pain in the balls. And then converting that to DKP in Wildstar already is kind of a scary thought. Anyways, next question.
I'll take a question from Chad. Dude, are you sipping on a Four Loko? Yes, I'm classy. $2.49 classy. Hang on. What did I miss here? From Katamari, guild housing, do you think this is a thing that is possible? How badass would it be on a scale of 1 to 9,000? We've kind of touched on this in past episodes, that we think that it'd be feasible to do instanced housing for guilds that were like cruisers or spaceships above the planet's orbit. We think that would be really awesome, and that is our idea for it.
Yep. We in the game right now, what happens? I actually showed it off on my stream. Somebody normally makes like your own little guild house, and they kind of just give up their place, you know, and then you can allow people to come in and build stuff, and it looks really cool. We would love to see the next part of that. We'd love to have an instance. I think that is so, and more than likely you won't see it for launch, but for an expansion, that first one, to be able to have a guild cruiser just chilling instead of having a house where people hang out, I just think is so friggin' cool. Like, that could be one of those things that you're like, oh, hey, come to Wildstar. You can hang out on your own place. That's badass.
Give me an Imperial Star Destroyer, but you know how it's triangle? Make it completely opposite so the wedge goes the other way for the front of the ship, and tell Star Wars to F off. Question from Tainted 707. Never heard of this guy. He's probably silly. What is your favorite loot distribution system and why? It really depends on whether it's grouping versus raid for me. I think it's probably the same for you, Blank. there's group dynamic systems for looting that I enjoy, similar to Diablo 3's and Guild Wars 2, where it's just your grouping. But then there's the raid system that I enjoy, where it's allow the raid leader or your raid officers to grab it and distribute personally. But everybody having their own loot in grouping is really cool to me. Diablo 3, when they did that, I know it's not an MMO, I know it's an action RPG, but that was neat to me when I kicked a boulder of rocks and gold popped out for me and the next guy grabbed his own gold. I think that's pretty neat. Blank?
Loot distribution. Simplest one to set up is DKP. You get to pick Suicide Kings. It's funny, I actually talked about this on the show on MMO Buff that I'm on. They're very simple. Everyone can see them. They're kind of a pain in the ass as an officer because you have to track, you have to run an add-on, you have to do all this sort of stuff. Did they show up on time? Did they not? You have to break down what variables cost what. But once you have it in place, DKP is amazing. And then you pick a system that works for your organization and you're good. My favorite has always been Loot Council. Loot Council is scary as shit because a lot of them get corrupted over time. People don't look at their organizational variables just objectively. They start looking at shit objectively.
A good Loot Council is spreadsheets for days.
Yep. And somebody asked what DKP is. DKP is a long-time term. I'm not sure where it actually is from, but it's Dragon Kill Points. It's what? What did you say?
I said Deblaka.
It's Dragon Kill Points. I want to say, and don't hold me to this, that this was a thing for Dungeons and Dragons. It's based on one of their very early systems for DMs to then take care of who potentially got what. I don't know. I do know that it became hugely. It got refined for like EverQuest and things like this, where people were a part of these social systems and they needed a way to. Oh, we killed this really hard thing that took us fucking 40 hours to do. Who gets what when it's dead? So I know that's when the big refinement came. So yeah. Loot Council's good.
I think the original DKP was a little before D&D and was in an offshoot of Pathfinder. For anybody who's real old, Onrez looking at you.
It actually started in EverQuest.
But I think it was in some sort of modification for Pathfinder when D&D whatever version was out.
DKP started in EverQuest and it had to do with the killing of the two dragons.
Did anybody play Pathfinder back in the day? I feel like we had DKP in Pathfinder. Everybody's going to Google right now. Next question from Dirty Deed 90. Do you think the guild buffs will deter people from starting a new guild? I don't think so, because I don't think guild buffs will be game breaking or game necessity. They'll be a luxury buff and something that is for, top tier people to give a shit about. And I think that in my perfect worlds, like I said before, small guilds will be able to work their way to these guild buffs and be able to prioritize which buff they'd actually like.
Yeah.
Blank.
Guild buffs, I look at it like this. You don't need to be in a guild. That's what's really awesome about Wildstar. You can be in a social circle and still run around, play, group up, talk about stuff. You don't need a guild. But if you're going to start a new guild, I don't see those buffs as deterring. I see them as encouraging. Like, hey, you're gonna put together a guild. Good for you. There's a lot of hard work in front of you. Part of that is going to be which buffs you're going to take. Where you're going to spend your influence. What are you going to do? So I don't think people are going to be like, oh crap, like I don't want to have to do that. Instead, it's going to be like, we're doing this. This is the path that we got to walk down. So, oh goodness, the questions got small again. I'm going to answer the next one really quick. Can you hoverboard on water from Starfire Pixie? The answer is yes. Yes, you can. We got two more questions. Yeah. We're going to take these two last questions. and then we can wrap it on up. So
Michael J. Fox was fucking up. Arthurixia, do you think that your past will have any uses in endgame, i.e., a max settler will have, or a soldier will be able to make or use something like turrets for war plots? You know, I know there are uses for them in game, but I agree with you that I hope that they will have an end game use as well. Yes, I hope that settlers and war plots will have a bonus if they go build this plot plug instead of you or something like that, and have those kind of bonuses in place. If a soldier is defending a certain area of a war plot, they get a bonus. I do hope that's in place, yes.
Yep. Yep, I agree.
All right. Skeptic, do you feel in Elder game there will be class that is the best niche role, as in all tanks will be warriors, all healers will be espers, and so on, or do you feel that classes are well-balanced PvE and PvP, so it doesn't come to that later on? I believe in classes, yes, being the best in a role, but I also believe in players in other classes being better at a role than a best class would be. So I believe in a warrior, yes, may be the best known tank, but there may be that, that like 13% of medics that are boss tanks for raids, you know what I mean? So there's always that thing in my mind like, okay, we need this, we need this, we need this. Okay, well, so-and-so is available, and he does this. Oh, yeah, we can definitely take him because he knows how to play his class. You know what I mean? It was the same thing in Guild Wars 2. I hate to say it again, but you have we need a condition damage DPS. All right, we don't have any thieves right now. We have a short bow ranger. Oh, yeah, that short bow ranger knows how to do his thing. We'll take him with us in our World v. World group. It's not a problem. I trust that guy to play his role. So that's how I feel about it, Blank.
Having played at lower levels, and that's what I can discuss, I can tell you that they're working on getting to the place where there isn't going to be a class for a best role. And why I'm making that, how I'm getting to that conclusion is this. They didn't homogenize the stats for the tanks and for the healers. The engineer, from what I've seen, 1 to 15, and the same for the warrior and the stalker, all work very differently. They all prioritize their stats differently. Mm-hmm. So they're looking to make them. I mean, I've always said that I feel like with the way that the stalker is, that it's going to be that cool AoE, just because of that they have that I can't remember what the name of it is. They have this shield thing that just run around 2
seconds,
it.
Blank.
Yep, all the time. And goodness. So I always feel like they may be more of an AoE, but that's what we've seen 1 to 15. I feel like they're going to make sure that in the end, all of the classes have their ability to all of the functions are able to be achieved. You want to tank one big stupid boss, you set up your LES, you do your amps out, you're good to go. Whether you're any of them. You want an AoE tank, you want to do tanking of 2 things, you want to trade with somebody, that you're able to do that. Set up your LES, you cheer up your skills, you do your amps differently, and then you're able to achieve whatever you're trying to do. More than likely, my biggest fear, because balancing is always very critical, is the PvE and PvP balance. But the way that the skills are that we've seen, a lot of skills that are incentivized for PvP, I don't see you using a lot of those for PvE. Unless there's some time is going to tell here. I do expect, I'm going to be honest, I do expect for the developers and ourselves to be surprised with what people come up with, that they were expecting to be, perhaps, oh, this is a PvP sort of thing. We're not going to see it here. and somebody's going to come up with some cool loadout, some cool whatever, and they're going to kick face in one or the other. So I won't call that now, because with everything out there, it's going to be hard to balance all of that stuff. But, you know, in the end, once the game comes out, when we get there, you know, time will tell. So with that, that was our questions, and we're going to say thank you to Nixes for being available to get those all of those things in chat sent over to us. Our shout-outs, as always, we want to make sure that we shout out to Wildstar Central. Poor Zap is going to be streaming and giving keys away. They're, again, doing their contest, Wildstar Fans and Wildstar Core. Big shout-out to all the people putting out content right now. So whether that's mount videos like itsALICEduh or, you know, those two new English guys in the scene. One buddy who's never played an MMO, and the other one who's a longtime veteran.
Funny little boys.
I tell you what, it's pretty funny.
I'm gonna get them playing some other games here soon, so we can get some other funny stuff going. Just so I can laugh while I'm playing, because those guys are freaking awesome.
It's awesome. So, big shout out to them. Shout out to people like Zyback and everyone else that's putting out content. Thank you. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Again, follow this Twitch channel. Make sure to check us out on Twitter. Promise not to bomb you with too much awesome information.
Go ahead and follow me on Twitter, because I'm doing more Twitter things now, I think.
Oh, are you?
Oh, well, I mean, you know, stuff happens on Twitter. But shout out from me to Kai. Kai, thanks again for that pentakill and ARAM. You made it happen. She's going to be so angry when I put up that highlight one day in my life. But thanks, Mordekaiser pentas all day, baby.
I actually stopped by her stream the other day, so yeah. Enjoy the streams. We're looking forward to things going forward. Next week, as always, we'll be back with more of your Wildstar Weekly News. Thanks for stopping by, and we will see you guys next week.
Yeah, we'll be playing some games tonight and over the weekend, so be sure to tweet us. We'll tweet out if we're streaming or playing certain games. For Loco sponsorship. I couldn't even say it with a straight face. That was awful. But, you know, whatever. Thanks for coming out again, guys.
Have a great one. Bye, guys.
Thanks for stopping by tonight. Great having you aboard, and we will see you all.
Oh God, Aegon.
We will see you all next week.